I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. It's the State of the Union. All along the Front Range, the Jeff and Bill Show brings you both sides. 710 KNUS here in Denver.
And on AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States. I love that. And everyone, hey! It's like it feels a little British.
Yeah, it does a little bit.
You know, you ever watch Parliament and the debates?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, quite a bit.
Do you, really? Quite a bit?
Yeah. I spend a lot of time with BBC. And so I see a lot of the stuff that they do because BBC is, you know,
it's the British broadcasting.
It's British broadcasting. I find them to be less biased than most American outlets. And I love to see how people from the outside are looking in. I find that fascinating. It's the reason that why I try to find the away broadcast for at least a little bit of time anytime I'm watching the Broncos or the Nuggets. I just want to see what the other team is saying, and I find a very unique and different perspective on the U.S. coming to us from our neighbors across the pond. And it seems to be at times a little more antiseptic and connected to reality than what I get with American media.
I would like to see more debates in Congress. They don't really do that.
But Congress doesn't do a lot of things.
Right. I mean, they don't have the same kind of British back and forth that you see. They give little speeches.
Yeah. They get a little too raucous inside of the British Parliament for my taste. And I'm not certain they really get anything accomplished either. I think
you
some of their
love
laws
to see, Lauren Boebert and AOC actually throw down in a debate in Congress?
I like the idea of some of the comments coming from gallery, depending on how they are thrown out there, because I think it forces the speaker to respond rather than just continue to speak, which I think is important, kind of somewhat of a back and forth.
Yeah, like a questioning.
Yeah.
Yet they don't do that.
No.
They do the little oversight questioning where everybody gets 5 minutes and that type of thing. Well, lots to talk about. We've been diving into the city of Denver putting a pause on construction of new data centers in a city that's facing businesses fleeing, high vacancy rates in offices to the point where they're now, did you see these buildings that are selling for like pennies on the dollar downtown? Restaurants closing. Nobody wants to go downtown. All the crime problems. One business is like, hey, you know what? Data centers. Let's get it going. And the yahoos at the city council are like, hold on. What about climate change? And they're putting moratoriums on all the development, which is just so stupid. Meanwhile, they're jumping in, hot as ever, to pass a mask ban for ICE agents. So I'm looking at this last night, and I just go, what's the breakdown of these city council members? 5 have any real kind of business experience, and that's light to begin with. You have a real estate agent, that type of thing in there. But the other 9 are all political activists, kind of nonprofit activists that would look at the city of Denver and all of its problems and go, you know what we should do? Pass a mask ban for ICE agents. That's what we need to put our energy towards. And then empower the Denver police to issue $99 fines or 300 days in jail against any ICE agent. So you're going to pit DPD to go after and fight crime? No ticket ICE agents. Meanwhile, you have businesses that are going, hey, let's build data centers. Oh, no, we got. What about the climate change? This is what happens when you elect a bunch of progressive activists into your city leadership. This is why Denver fails. Let's go back to the phone lines. Dean in Denver. Good morning, Dean. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment about the data centers, and particularly there, as I understand now, the federal government is, and which is available, nuclear reactors to power these data centers. And that is being, I think, a bill passed in that regard to take care of that part. But the other part is water. And if I read the water report the other day, it says that Denver's our source is down about 40%. So we are going to have a problem there this coming summer.
I think we will too.
I agree with the water issue, but why not roll back the use of water by the marijuana companies, because they're using a ton of water?
That would be well too, no doubt.
I think that, if you're an enterprising city that's looking at Denver, like I feel like any common sense person would look at Denver and go, you know what we could do? Let's get the data centers humming and roll back the pot.
Well, the only thing is, the data centers is probably the price of land in Denver, much less in Jefferson County. It's unlikely that they'll probably pursue that here in Colorado because nuclear power is so slow progressing here in the state legislature. But the water situation, I think, is, and like you say, the pot growers probably going to have to cut back.
That would be nice, but getting a pothead to cut back on anything is difficult. I appreciate it, Dean. Thanks so much for the call. Feel free to jump in. Dean's line is open, 303-696-1971. Now it's time for the news.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good Tuesday morning, 43 and partly cloudy in Denver, 42 in the Springs, expecting highs in the upper 60s today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning. For a new home heating and cooling system, contact your Lennox dealer, Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at pastorcamp.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Our top story, as Jeff and Billy were just talking about, Denver Mayor Johnston is putting a stop to new data centers in Denver. The mayor says he and the city council intend to file a moratorium because they need the time to review and strengthen regulations around the site. A bill in the current legislative session would offer tax breaks to data center companies and create a regulatory agency to review and administer those rebates. Data centers are under environmental scrutiny for their high energy and water needs.
You're going to hear the president share the stories of everyday Americans who have benefited from his policies. You're going to hear the president share tear-jerking stories of American heroes, past and present.
Caroline Leavitt, 47's first State of the Union speech of his second term, is set for tonight. Many Democratic lawmakers are planning to boycott the address before a joint session of Congress. You can hear the State of the Union right here on KNUS at 7 o'clock if you're now watching on the internet or on the tube.
I now realize television has one major advantage over a live stage show.
Huh? What's that?
A television you can turn off.
Amen to that. 47. That is a great point. 47 is pushing back against reports about the top U.S. general, warning him that strikes against Iran pose substantial risks. Axios first reported Joint Chiefs Chairman General Dan Kane told DJT the U.S. could end up in a prolonged Middle East conflict. Trump posted that stories saying Kane is against us going to war with Iran are 100% incorrect. Tucker Carlson told Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee last week, we didn't vote for this.
Americans' opinions. So you've got 350 million Americans. Yeah. They voted in this last election on the basis, in part, of the promise no more wars. Okay, mm-hmm. So now we're about to have a war. Looks like 80% of people are against it. In that range, let's say 70%, but nowhere near majority support for this war. And it's not direct democracy, but it is a form of democracy. It's representative democracy.
The ultimate form of democracy in our system, in a republic, because we're not a true democracy, we're a republic.
Exactly, right? It's a mediated democracy.
It'll be an opportunity for Americans to vote if they think think that we've made the wrong policy decision.
All right, stay tuned. A bill advancing at the state capitol.
I want to ask you guys this real quick. What do you think we should do with Iran?
I say leave it alone. I mean, it's 6,000 miles away. And I think we should not get involved right now. I don't think it's a pressing issue. That's my opinion.
What do you do with the fact that they were the lead financial sponsor of all the deaths of Americans in Afghanistan and Iraq?
Well, I don't think we should get involved in another conflict like that where more Americans would be killed, potentially. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's true either. I think there are other factors involved in that.
Bill, what do you want to see happen in Iran?
Well, my first question that I have is, why do we need to do anything inside of Iran? I'm curious as to why, because a number of months ago, I was told by our president that we obliterated their nuclear capabilities. Their entire program was decimated, and they couldn't do anything with it. We were told that publicly by our president. And now the administration is coming out going, they are weeks away from having material enough to build a bomb.
Because they went back to it.
No, it was obliterated. Obliterated can't go back. You can't all of a sudden get to fissionable material inside of months. If your nuclear
6 months,
there's no way. Nobody can do that in 6 months.
They're purchasing it. They're purchasing it, and they're trying to refine it. I watched the Iranian foreign minister on, Face the Nation on Sunday, and he's like, "This is our right. This is our right as a people.
Yeah,
we've invested so much time. We're back at it. We're going to continue to do this."
But again, it was decimated. That's the issue. Is I don't understand why this is an issue now when a number of months ago their program was decimated. It was destroyed.
But that doesn't answer my question. What should we do with Iran?
Well, I think
I say, go ahead.
Yeah, the thing is, I think that is important. And the reason I keep coming back to it is because we were told by the administration that their capabilities were decimated. Now we're being told by the same administration that they are weeks away from getting a bomb. Those are 180 degrees away from each other. I'm unsure what I'm supposed to believe coming out of our administration. And that's why I have a problem advocating for any sort of action, military or otherwise, against Iran, because I don't know. I don't feel I can trust with the administration what's going on. So I don't know what's supposed to be going on or what we have done. And oddly enough, we keep going back to the idea of looking at constraining their development, looking at getting people in there to check, looking at, a lot of the stuff that was under the Obama treaty with Iran about nuclear weapons. While imperfect, it seemed to accomplish a heck of a lot more than what we have right now running around saber rattling. So that I can't understand what we're trying to do with Iran. I can't get my head around it. If I was advising, I honestly would try to go back to treaties, etc., because I don't think war is going to help. And in part because what it does inside the region. But as Peter Boyles always reminds us, Iranians are not Middle Eastern. They're not Muslims. They're not considered in that tribe. They're Persians. They're considered in a different
they're
era.
Muslims.
Yeah, but they're considered different. The Saudis and the Egyptians, everybody else, don't view them the same. The Iranians and the Iranians view themselves differently. So there's a whole other secondary layer inside of what goes on in the Middle East.
But they are the chief sponsor of most Islamic terrorism that takes place in the world, whether it's Hezbollah, ISIS, all that stuff. A lot of that funding comes from Iran. They're murdering 30,000 young activists in the streets, just shooting them, going into hospitals, shooting them. And I understand, all right, we'll wall them off if you want to fail. It's up to you to fix this yourself. But it bleeds out. You end up with the October 7th atrocities. What they did in Israel was terrible. So The effort to wipe Israel off the face of the earth, the primary effort, is funded by Iran, and they've got to go. I guess you can continue. I guess one option is just let's continue to just pick them off one by one. What you look at what Israel did with the pagers in Hezbollah, right? They decimated those guys, and we just fight this, but we're never going to airdrop in and try to do what we did in Iraq. Okay. I understand that.
Yeah, what we did in Iraq didn't work out very well.
Right. That's why I said, I'm like, okay. Because I don't want to be stuck in that. Last thing I want is my kids' lives in that hellhole.
Absolutely.
And I have
sacrificing their futures.
Yeah, and for decades, I have heard from Benjamin Netanyahu that Iran was weeks away from getting a bomb. For decades, I have heard this. And so that's why I'm hesitant when I hear our own administration saying they're now weeks away. I've heard that cry of wolf before, over and over again. And that cry of wolf many times was used as a way to push military action. What I can't figure out with this claim about Iran and where they are with the bomb, I can't figure out if this is legit or are we doing another weapons of mass destruction thing in Iraq?
Sure,
are we just making this case in order to go to war?
If we've done that for decades and then we just kind of, for instance, hit them with one bomb like we did, or a few bombs, bunker busters recently, or where they spun up the fusions. You remember when the Israelis hacked the servers or the computers for this and just spun up the servers until they blew up? There's a reality here where they could be very close to the bombs, and then that activates some form of hit, but it's targeted. It doesn't result in massive troop buildups and sending over the Marines. Maybe that's what we just do. Maybe you just continue to do that and they hum along in their failed state.
I would prefer that. And it's difficult because I know a few Iranian Americans, and this regime is horrible. There's no doubt. And you would love to see their people freed so they can, use their creativity and all their intelligence and come back to the way, return to the country that they were in the 80s. But man, regime change is so messy.
I agree. And when it involves the blood of our sons and daughters,
yes.
Hell no.
Yes.
Hell no.
And it's not in our hemisphere. I'm like,
I lost friends in Iraq, and I sit here and I'm like, what the hell did they give their lives for?
Yes, exactly.
I get it.
I mean, and that's why I'm playing Tucker's interview, because 80% of American people do not want this. We do not want this. So that's why I think, right now, the American people are on a teeter-totter here, and we're looking and we're waiting. I don't think, it doesn't matter who evidently is in the White House. They're influenced by, our greatest ally, evidently, and this is not something that most of us want. So,
but there is a reality here. So Israel had its approach towards Gazans and Hezbollah and the Iranians is what they called cut the grass, which was it grows a little too high, and then we send in and we kind of trim everything up and that type of stuff. And what they learned on October 7th is you just can't. That policy doesn't work because they'll secretly build and then strike, and you end up with terrible atrocities that happened on October 7th. So I get that they've got to engage their enemies and wipe them out. And you see that happening with Hezbollah in Gaza because you can't just live next to these neighbors. So, that's where I'm a little torn. I go, you continue to let Iran sit here, and if they do get a place where they can build a nuclear weapon, I think they'll use it. So you have to fight it.
I'm curious about that. Like, why do you think that the nuclear weapon is an offensive weapon? Why?
I think there's strong evidence that the minute they get the ability to be on the offense, they do. They shoot missiles towards Israel. They're very active in implementing violence. In fact, because they are the chief state sponsor of Islamic terrorism, which is offensive.
But if they let's just say, I mean, again, they have capabilities to hit Israel right now, but they don't do it daily or weekly. And so the idea of them doing it all the time and going all out, I don't think has been shown based on their foreign policy. And if I know that the danger is always they will give some sort of a small nuclear weapon or the ability to a terrorist organization. But if that happens, they no longer necessarily control it either. And that could get loose elsewhere. It doesn't mean the terrorist organization is always going to have control of it either. Nor will the terrorist organization necessarily do exactly what they want with it and the attack that they want. The other part is, I am of the opinion that in 2026 and beyond, a country or any sort of an organization attached to a country that uses a nuclear weapon, that country becomes an anathema, if not becoming a parking lot immediately. Nobody else is going to do business with them because of unleashing that nuclear weapon on the rest of the world.
I think you're bringing a level of rationality to the conversation that doesn't exist with Islamic terrorists.
I think it may not exist with a few governments, if you will, quote unquote. All right, 36 in the Springs, 37 in Denver. That's the latest. I'm Blake Olson. More of the Jeff and Bill Show ahead on News Talk 710 KNUS in Denver, and now on AM 1460 and FM 101.1. The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you hear both sides. We are the Jeff and Bill Show.
Very strong jet stream winds pushing off the Pacific coast will push very mild air into the Front Range. Colorado Springs and Denver and Pueblo and up to Fort Collins and all points in between will see 60s to near 70 today and tomorrow. These strong jet stream winds, though, will transport a lot of wind and snow to Colorado's mountains, especially the mountains along I-70 and points north. So good for the snowpack and the ski areas. For the Front Range, it's mainly going to mean mild, windy conditions today and tomorrow. A little bit cooler behind the front, but not by much for Thursday and Friday. As we get into tomorrow and tomorrow night, a few rain and snow showers could come off the foothills and mountains onto the Front Range, but we expect very little in the way of any significant moisture out of that pattern. 60s today to near 70, 60s tomorrow, lower 40s tonight, 30s tomorrow night, a little bit cooler Thursday and Friday. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
.710 KNUS here in Denver.
And on AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range. This is the Jeff and Bill Show, where you get both sides. And speaking of both sides, battle lines being drawn as Colorado considers decriminalizing prostitution. We covered the initial story of this being released, but now the teams are building and the battle begins at the state capitol. And I saw a lot of comments. Man, my post on this went viral. And there are people out there that go, Jeff, don't you understand that if we bring these people out of the shadows and provide them health care and all that stuff, we will eliminate human trafficking? I don't know. You ever been to Amsterdam?
No, I have not.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, some of my children have been there, but I have not.
My wife and I went to Amsterdam. I actually proposed in the red light district, which is unique.
That's an odd choice, but
Yes,
okay.
because smack dab, right in the red light district, is the Oude Kerk, which is Dutch for Old Church, which is the first church of Amsterdam. So my wife is Dutch, and her grandfather came over on a boat. It's very cool. You could see his signature. He came into New York Harbor, not Ellis Island, but a similar harbor, came into New York Harbor, and then went on to become a dairyman. Wow. And wife grew up the granddaughter of a dairyman in California from the Netherlands. So traveled back, and we went to the original town where her family's from, Alkmaar, which is just outside of Amsterdam. And then because we feel called by God to go into the most challenging parts of this world and speak the gospel truth of Jesus Christ, man, here you have right in the middle of the red light district, the first church of Amsterdam. So it's like that picture right there is amazing. By the way, they made a mistake.
Oh yeah, what?
Yeah, the reformers at a certain point felt like any stained glass was like a form of idolatry, so they went around breaking them.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, so the church is a little plain. There's no,
it's not good.
There's no like great stained glass out there that there
on a
should
side note. On a side note, I gotta share with the Jeff and Bill audience. If you're just joining us somewhat recently, maybe new from Colorado Springs, you just found us zooming across the dial for whatever reason, or maybe it was you were directed here because of something Kyle Clark said about us. You may not know that I am a lifelong Catholic, and Jeff's one of those breakaway cult members. He's a Protestant.
Frozen chosen, baby.
Yeah. Now, the thing is that I always love going into, the Baptist and some of the Methodists and Anglican churches and stuff, because what I think as a longtime Catholic, it is so cute how you guys try to do stained glass. It's adorable because you have no idea what you're doing. You have no clue how to actually do it or what's involved.
Most of them don't even have it.
Yeah. I mean, I go in and they're just colored panels that are giving you a feeling. I'm like, sorry, but in Ireland, we got an entire window that tells the life story of St. Patrick. Aha!
So people don't understand this, that the foundation of stained glass was to help the illiterate
follow along.
Understand the gospel.
Yep. So you can see the pictures.
So you can see the pictures.
Yep. Yeah.
Exactly. So anyways, that church...
That's also why we have the Stations of the Cross pictured on as we go around.
Yeah, there you go.
There's nothing there to read. It's pictures. Remember that. It's pictures.
Us Protestants are the sola scriptura. We have to learn to read.
Oh, that's why we have someone that stands in front of the congregation and reads part of the Bible to us every week, so we don't have to. We figured this one out. I'm just saying.
So all this to say... We wandered around the red light district a little bit that one day. If you think this is a good idea, look into the faces of women who have to sell their bodies for a living. There is an emptiness there. There is a brokenness. There is no little girl in this world growing up that wants to have that job. Yeah. And what you see are these little doors in Amsterdam where they stand there and they kind of do their dance to entice the man to come in, and then you go into a little room and they close the blinds, and it is heartbreaking. It is not there's not human flourishing taking place in the red light district. So if you think that the decriminalization of prostitution is going to bring this happy-go-lucky little industry where everybody's doing great, it will increase human trafficking. That has been studied because now you have removed the law enforcement component. So pimps, human traffickers of not only women. Do you know what the average age of a woman who enters prostitution is?
Go. I bet whatever it is not going to make me happy.
13.
Eek.
13 years old, and you're going to unleash this upon a state that's already dealing with crime problems. We have record fentanyl. 1/10 of all the fentanyl pills being seized in America is coming through Colorado right now. This is absolutely something that shouldn't be brought to this community. But feel free to join the conversation. We're up against a break here, but give us a call. Battle lines being drawn. We'll get into this more. 303-696-1971, plus the State of the Union tonight. Are you planning to watch that? And what do you want to see? All this we're talking about. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Let's talk Dan Caplis with Dan Caplis Law. Dan suggests that you should choose a lawyer who shares your values, because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. Dan Caplis, a sterling reputation, 40 years of getting people justice in the state who've been hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado state history. Dan Caplis Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law's serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's the phone number, 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S Law.com. More of the Jeff and Bill Show to come. You're listening to 710 KNUS in Denver.
And on AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you get to hear both sides. We are the Jeff and Bill Show.
710 KNUS in Denver.
And on AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range, this is the Jeff and Bill Show, where you get both sides of an issue, and that's exactly what's shaping up. Headline from the Gazette: battle lines drawn as Colorado considers decriminalizing prostitution. This was an issue I wondered why it wasn't raised earlier, knowing our kind of libertarian nature and the fact we decriminalized a whole bunch of drugs. I knew this was coming. I mean, you can... we have unrestricted abortion at any point, for whatever reason, in the state of Colorado, funded by taxpayers. By the way, some good reporting coming from Rocky Mountain Voice that a good amount of the procedures being done in Colorado are now coming from Texas, out of state, and we're paying for them. So there you go. We have doctor-assisted suicide. We've decriminalized a lot of drugs, pot, psilocybin. 1 in 10 fentanyl pills is now found in Colorado. So we've just become this kind of permissive hellhole. And prostitution, well, that's next. And the Gazette writes, proponents said the proposal would eliminate the offense of soliciting for prostitution and the prohibition against patronizing a prostitute, as well as preclude, this is what's really interesting, local ordinances from banning commercial sexual activity, which would result, they say, in safer and healthier outcomes for sex workers. We're going to have a brothel on every corner.
No,
at one point,
not every corner. I was talking to some of the text messages and got to shout out 3312. We got to get a nickname for you, 3312, so we can put that on the list so I just don't have to talk about numbers. But we were going back and forth, and we think we should set up it like a red light district on 16th Street Mall.
Nobody else is going down there.
It's walkable. We already have the bus that goes back and forth. There are a lot of glass front buildings right there, and it could be a tourist option. We could sell T-shirts. There could be, people hustling wares there on the side. You could have those guys that sell like those kaleidoscope things where you can look through them and you twist and you see like 3 of the girls at the same time. And I'm just kind of spitballing here, people. I'm just saying it's an opportunity. I'm not saying it's a good one, just an opportunity.
Lots of text messages on this one. Cap Hill Phil saying, I think that it's possible that there are mechanisms to make lives better for women who choose to sell themselves. But I think it's okay for Colorado to not take the lead on every single cool uncle initiative with no rules. When it comes to law and order, I'm nominally in favor of it. I do think the punishment for prostitution needs to be centered on clients and pimps. I agree with you on that. Lean on that direction because, look, you cannot have a healthy society without healthy families. It doesn't work. It never has throughout all of history. And so when you continue to push these things that break apart families, push women into sexual slavery, I mean, my God, what we're doing to young women here is setting them up for ruin and failure for the rest of their lives. And then Cap Hill Phil saying, but I don't have a lot of experience on this issue, which might be a good place, personally speaking. And you're exactly right, Capel Phil. No one who goes into this is coming out the other side a better person. Let's go to the phone line. Spencer in Castle Rock. Good morning, Spencer. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Hey, guys. So, Bill, who came up with this idea and proposed it?
I'm not certain who came up with the idea. Right now, the sponsors, at least just the prime ones on it right now, are these two are the senators. Nick Henrichsen and Lisa Cutter are the sponsors in the Senate. In the House, it's Lorena Garcia and Rebecca Stewart. Those are the sponsors right now, and it's been assigned to the Judiciary Committee so far.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I would start looking into them. This is one of those things where you have to ask yourself, why would they propose this? And I guess they just came right out and said it, and it's because people who pay for a service like this no longer want to be prosecuted for a service like this.
Yeah, there's this, look, Spencer, they are godless progressives. by definition. And so there's no moral foundation there. There's no guidance on this. And so everything's kind of free reign. Let's go explore this. And they feel proud when they kind of jump into these new, cool ideas that are really nothing's new and cool about it. It's just godless. Go ahead, Spencer.
So my question then is where are all the good Christian Democrats calling in to give their opinion on this? I love being mocked all the time for being a conservative and being a Christian, and people saying things like, where's your compassionate heart on certain issues? Where are the Christian Democrats calling in to voice their opinion on this? Because I haven't heard one, except for Bill.
Point.
I haven't heard one person on this radio show, leftist, Christian, calling in about this.
Yeah, it's a great point, Spencer, and it ticks me off to no end that not only did they find one sponsor, but they got 4 sponsors on this one. And the part that makes me the most upset is taking away regulations and codes that surround the criminal activity, but also it legalizes, and I love how they term this, the display, meaning that we are allowed to have prostitutes walking around advertising and propositioning people on our city streets. That's going to be a wonderful thing to put on all of the postcards and all sorts of fantastic things that people can take with them after visiting the Mile High City. I can't wait to see all of the social media feeds from all the people that come here for some sort of a convention. Oh, just wait until the stock show shows up. That's going to be fun, walking into that place with ladies of the evening and men of the night standing out front, wanting to know if you want to ride the Bucking Bronco. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Yeah, this is ridiculous.
I'm speechless to the point where I don't really know even what to say anymore. It's the legalization of gambling and contributing to the problems that gambling causes in society should be enough of an example as to why this is a bad idea, because this is far worse than gambling.
Yep.
And I just don't even know what to say anymore. I'm at a loss, and I'm really calling out the left on this. Now is the time to stand up and show your character.
Spencer, you're exactly right. There's a few things here. One, two, there's no women that are coming through this industry on the other side of it going, man, that was a great career choice. You look at the abortions that they have to have, the brokenness of having your body used by man after man, day after day. They're not coming out on the other side of this going, 25 years of this was the best decision of my life, and look at the impact I've had. Compared to like what teachers do, right? Where you see those teachers after a career of service and sacrifice to kids come out and go, I made the world a better place. They're broken, those prostitutes are broken. And the amount of human suffering, and the fact that the average entry age into this is 13 years old. You think about what that's going to do to kids in our communities, and the pimps that are going to take advantage of this is horrific. But Spencer, to your point about Christianity, look at the message of the Judeo-Christian world at the very beginning of Genesis is order out of chaos, right? So God creates order out of chaos. The whole Old Testament is creating the order and how we are to live our lives. And then when you get godlessness and control of our government, it goes back to chaos. And that's what's happening in Colorado. Spencer, Castle Rock, I sure appreciate the call.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Let's talk modern rugged leather. From city streets to mountain trails, your gear should go wherever life takes you. That's why at Modern Rugged Leather, every bag is handcrafted from premium, responsibly sourced leather. It's beautiful. It's absolutely the best bag I've ever owned, designed to look sharp, last long, and tell a story of its own. Each stitch, buckle, and strap reflects timeless craftsmanship and is backed by a lifetime warranty, because quality shouldn't quit when the adventure begins. So whether it's the boardroom or the back roads, Modern Rugged Leather helps you carry confidence every step of the way. Modern Rugged Leather, modern style, timeless durability, backed for life. Life's going to take you places. Make sure your gear keeps up. Shop the full collection and find yours today at modernrugged.com. Again, that's modernrugged.com. We'll continue. Holy cow, look at these text messages.
Yeah, there's so many of them.
720-819-5115 is the text message line. 720-819-5115 if you want to jump in on the phone lines. Thank you to Spencer for the great last call, 303-696-1971. We'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show, 710 KNUS in Denver.
And on AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you hear both sides. Got a line open. We got Ron in Denver coming up next. Maybe you're after Ron. We'll find out. We'll be right back.
KNUS in Denver.
And on AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range, this is the Jeff and Bill Show, where you hear both sides, and we're discussing a real both sides issue in the Gazette covering this. Battles lines have been drawn as Colorado considers decriminalizing prostitution. Yep, they're doing that now. And they don't want your locality to be able to block it.
That's important to bring up. Yeah,
because at least with pot, you
Yeah.
can do that, right?
Yeah. And also, shout out to 8422. Again, 8422, if you want to send in a nickname or something, we'll throw that on there for you because it'll be easier to refer to you. The idea of the tax money that's involved, and you're like, wait, the taxes aren't going for the hookers. No. We're going to have safety. You're going to have regulation. And you're going to have a testing system set up. Also, probably some sort of a licensing or fee structure as well if we're going to let them operate as some sort of a small business. So all of that is going to require more oversight, more regulation, and more of your tax dollars and mine in order to support the prostitution industry. Yeah. Come to colorful Colorado where, I know. I'm not
all your tax dollars are spent on...
I was going to say something totally inappropriate.
Random stuff. I mean, we discovered this at the Centennial Institute because remember, legalizing pot was all sold as this great, look at all the tax revenue we're going to get. And we found that the state was spending $4.25 for every dollar it took in. That's why our state's broke, because we run down believing that creating these social ills will somehow result in tax dollars coming in when progressives continue to build a social safety net to care for the problems that the social ills caused in the first place. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Ron in Denver. Good morning, Ron. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Good morning, and welcome to everybody from the Springs. I'm just curious where our Christian leaders, our religious leaders are. They should be standing up and yelling on every corner saying, no, no, no. From my perspective, prostitution is coercion. It's illegal. It should be illegal. So let's set that aside, and the immoral side, let's make it a moneymaker for Denver and Colorado. Take the stigma off, give them a permit like a liquor store or a rental hall, and say, you know what? If you're a consenting adult and you got a consenting partner and you want to have sex down here at the club, come on down. Pay the cover charge or uncovered charge as it may be. That place has to pay taxes. Let's take the social stigma off sex. You want it? Go over here, go down to 16th Street Mall, check in at your club, whatever. But let's make the coercion and the entrapment of prostitution illegal. It's just, we've got to say no. Denver seems to be looking for another way to raise taxes, as Polis would say, fees. We need to stand up and say, no, this is just not acceptable. They said legalized pot would, eliminate the black market. No, it didn't. So I don't think this would eliminate prostitution. It's just going to cost more taxpayer money with all the testing and everything that has to go on.
And the care and the medical and the abortions. Can you imagine that? The abortions? I mean, I was, when you read the amount of Johns that a prostitute has daily, it's gut-wrenching what these women go through.
Exactly. And if there's a market for my idea of warehouse sex, it's going to benefit by the taxes, the benefits like you'd have at a restaurant or whatever else.
Yeah.
But let's protect the vulnerable and say, you know what? Look, I get where you're going, Jeff. It's not my idea of a fun time. I'm not going to take my wife. I don't drink, so I don't frequent liquor stores.
Yeah,
but let's make that an option.
Well, what ends up happening, and I think it's kind of a law of the universe, and Ron, I appreciate the call. That's Ron from Denver. His line's open if you want to jump in, 303-696-1971. Criminals and families will not operate in the same space. They won't. It's like a law of physics. So if you turn downtown Denver over to criminals, families don't come. You make it safe for families down there by definition, you have to have so much law enforcement that the criminals won't be there either. So if Denver does this, Colorado does this, families will leave. If Colorado decriminalizes prostitution, families will leave. You have to choose one or the other. All right, more to come. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS in Denver.
And on The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is The Jeff and Bill Show. We'll be right back.